The Gibson Southern girls softball team avenged last year's loss in the state title game with a win over the exact same team that beat them last year, the Leo Lions. And joining us now on the Menard Studio Hotline is their head coach, Gary May. Coach, good afternoon. Thanks for the time. It has been a few days now since you guys brought home that state title. How are we feeling today now that you've had a few days to let it kind of process?
It's still pretty sweet. I don't think it's totally sunk in yet, though.
Well, I noticed looking at the article that was written in the Evansville Courier and Press, there was one comment that stood out to me from one of your players, and it was around the third inning, which I'm sure you recall. As the article said, you guys had given up 2 unearned runs to Leo there in the third inning, and I think there was kind of a sinking feeling that maybe a little deja vu was getting ready to happen. But Ashton Seaton told Pat Hickey from the Courier and Press, and I'll quote this here, Coach ripped us a new one. So if you could, in a radio-friendly kind of way, when that took place in that inning, what exactly was it that you told the girls as that you got to that point in the game?
Right. Well, I can't exactly tell you what it is because I don't know if that would be doable on the radio.
If you could keep it family-friendly, we would really appreciate it.
Right. It was a pretty appropriate quote by Ashton. What I was really fearful of the kids laying down, going into a shell, rolling over, playing dead, just giving up, thinking, oh, my goodness, here we are again. And I was really fearful that if that happened, the game could have gotten ugly. And so, I flat out tied into them. And I told them, you've come way too far to let that happen. You've got about 4 innings left. You've got to battle with everything that you've got, and more or less I told him, I said, if you roll over and play dead, I don't think a whole lot of you. And I don't know if that had anything to do with anything. I did think we needed to score 1 run that next inning, or it was going to be extremely difficult, and we came back with a 5 spot and made all the difference in the world.
Yeah, they batted around in that inning, so I think every girl said, all right, Coach, you're right. And so every girl went to the plate that inning, and obviously that made the difference in the game. As ended up winning that. Go ahead.
I think I'm going to have to copy down or remember what I said to him so that maybe next year, if I get in a situation, I can do it again.
It's one of your Lombardi speeches or something.
I promise you this, Coach. They didn't forget. If you need to, you could probably call one of them next year.
Yeah, I guarantee you one of them can quote it word for word.
I promise you that.
I believe you're right.
Well, you are 3 Class 3A state champions, and that's got to sound good. I know when I talked to you yesterday to set up an interview time, I know there was one thing you told me. I'm planning on getting a good night's sleep tonight for a change. Did you get some sleep last night, Coach? Did people leave you alone when you get some sleep?
Yes, I did. And it finally worked. Worked out. And it's been a grind for the last 3 weeks, really, ever since the sectional started.
Well, Jamie Nierenburn is she pitched 19 innings of 1-run ball in the Jasper semi-state. Comes back and throws a complete game at state. That I know in girls softball they'll put some innings in at times, but man, that's got, as a coach, you got to love that having a girl that can go that deep and go that far for you is something to be proud of.
Oh, exactly. And the other side of it, I tried telling myself prior to the game starting yesterday and early into the game that don't fall in love with Jamie just based on what she did the week before, and if she struggles, get her out of there and put somebody in, which would have been Alyssa Luigs, and let her do it. But fortunately, Jamie went the distance.
Coach Gary May from the Gibson Southern, the state champion Gibson Southern girls softball team, joining us on the Menard Studio Hotline. It's Ford and O'Brien on ESPN Evansville 105.3. And let's talk about one of those instances, Coach, and you can take us through it a little bit better, I'm sure, where maybe could have been some concern of Jamie maybe struggling, and it was the 6th inning. You guys are up 5-2. You got 2 runners on, no outs, and walk us through that inning and how you guys were able to get out of that kind of unscathed, so to speak.
Yeah, I believe, and they stranded 14 runners, which is a new school record, and I'm pretty sure the 6th inning that you're talking about, because it all kind of runs together. First and second, no outs, and they got a line drive back to Jamie, which she wheeled and looked at second base, and the runner wasn't off. And she was wise enough to just continue the process and looked at first and caught the runner about 15, 20 feet off base and got a double play. And without a doubt, that was huge.
How did her arm feel after that game, after 19 innings and then another shutout? I mean, how many bags of ice did that take to get her back to having some feeling in her fingers again?
Yeah, I think at that point she was numb from the neck down, and it didn't make any difference. I mean, I think just the sheer joy of winning the state that, there was no pain at all.
Well, Coach, this is back-to-back trips to state. You got her done this year. I seen a quote in the article they had in the Courier-Press, the same article Ryan was referring to. I've brought up the same question I brought it up to Nick Hart, Gibson Southern's football coach last season. Whenever he was up, he joined me at halftime, joined Ryan and I at halftime of the Mater Dei State game. I talked to him a little bit. Rensselaer Central was a team there that beat Mater Dei, and they were moving up due to the success rate. Now the Gibson Southern girls softball team will move up to Class 4A next season due to this same success factor. And I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but it says that you're not a proponent of the rule. I'll let you know up front, I don't agree with it either, but just elaborate a little bit on your thoughts of this rule.
I probably should be a little guarded in what I say here, but I just think it's foolish. I think you're penalizing a lot of kids that had nothing to do with, what happened the last 2 years. And just a side thought along with this, and I don't have any hard feelings towards Princeton's girls basketball, but my understanding, if Princeton's basketball team gets back to the state this year and they won it last year, they do not move up because it's in a different 2-year cycle.
Correct.
Yes. And
I think that's foolish. And I think a lot of rule makers don't think the thing through and think, what could happen or what could go wrong. Now, we won't back down from this. I mean, we'll embrace the challenge and we'll go after 4A just like we would 3A. But I don't necessarily agree with the rule.
Well, the reason I don't think it's a big enough window. Like you say,
right.
It's 2 consecutive years, so you made a perfect example. And, again, no disrespect to Princeton or anybody. We're not saying anybody's done anything wrong.
Right.
But because of that 2 consecutive year thing, then you're right. Next year starts a whole new cycle. But now one thing that if you're going to do this, because I get it. I know the Indianapolis Cathedral, football, things like that. You can win 3, 4, 5 state championships in a row. I understand you want to move them up a little bit. Didn't slow them down. They still won another state title. But would you be a little more agreeable if they were to say a 4 or 5 consecutive year string with trips to state, things like that, a different point system, where you at least get 4 or 5 full classes in, or do you just not want to see it at all?
I think not at all, but yes, I would think 4 or 5 years or 3. Anything more than a couple is a lot. I mean, you can have one good pitcher come along at the right time, and you could have a very average to mediocre program, but you get an excellent pitcher, and you could dominate for a couple of years and have success. All of a sudden, that pitcher's gone, and you're very average, and you're bumped up a class. And I understand the intent. I think there should be a better way to go about it.
I couldn't agree more.
Gibson Southern softball coach Gary May, state champ, joins us on the Menard Studio Hotlines. Ford and O'Brien, ESPN Evansville 105.3 and online, ESPNEvansville.com. And, Coach, I know you're still basking in the glory of the state win. You guys, just a quick maybe look ahead to next season. Maybe you're not that far ahead yet, but you guys lose 6 seniors. You're going to move up to a new class there. When does that process begin to start preparing for next season?
As soon as we get everything wrapped up with this season. I mean, we've got banquets and pictures we have to take and different things like that. Probably, I'd say in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, then we'll start meeting with all the players coming back and, start evaluating things and telling those players that are coming back what we intend to, where they need to improve and what they need to work on and get that process rolling again.
Well, congratulations on the state win, Coach. I know you probably would have liked to have seen it last year as well, but you got your revenge on Leo and you're able to bring home that state title. We appreciate the time today, and again, congratulations on a job well done over the weekend.
Okay, thank you very much.